Hey everybody, it's John Brown, the Bandana Gamer, coming today to talk to you about a very big problem facing a lot of video game collectors, and that is Backlog Backup. A lot of video game collectors, myself among them, constantly getting games, run out of time to simply play the games we get. A good deal comes along, a new collector's edition comes along, and we just have to have it. And that pushes other games out of the way in terms of what is in the console. Today I want to talk to you about what's on my backlog, what I've been playing, what I hope to play in the near future. And then I'm going to talk about a personal challenge for myself. And I want to go on record as saying this to see if I can uphold it, especially if I put it out there and a bunch of people see it. So let's start off with what I've been playing. Like a lot of people over the holidays who are big Switch fans, Smash Bros. Ultimate has found its way into my Switch and into my heart. I have never been a huge Smash Brothers fan, but something about Ultimate really speaks to me. I don't know if it's the fact that it's just a video game loving video game. I mean, even the fact like there's a weapon that is the Galaga capture drone that can capture you and take you off screen, and just that attention to detail. All the spirits and the spirit quest and the solo player stuff, and just unlocking fighters has been a blast for me. Like, I'm questing and just waiting for that right time to come up. It's a very generous game in unlocking, but it's one I've been playing for a while. I've got almost everybody unlocked, and that's kind of what I'm playing towards. I'm hoping to get better, maybe try some multiplayer. I'm always a little shy on multiplayer, but that's one that's been in the system right now. One that I'm probably not going to finish, because I've just been a little disappointed with it, is Shadows of the Tomb Raider. It's a very good game, but it's fairly disappointing considering the two games that came before it, Tomb Raider, the reboot, and Rise of the Tomb Raider. Those are some of my favorite games of all time. They would probably one of them would probably crack my top 10 list. And this is kind of more of the same with less compelling story. They didn't really do anything that really changes it up or adds a new element. It's just kind of more of the same, which is all and good, but it feels more like DLC, and I'm just not invested in the story like I have been in other ones. So while I've been playing it, I think it might be, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it. On to one I've just kind of started, which is a little old, but it's been on clearance recently, and that's Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 is, of course, in the Far Cry series, open world, first person shooter. Generally, you're dealing with some kind of weird religious figure, and this one is set in the United States. The reason I picked this up, I'm not usually a huge open world guy except for Breath of the Wild, but Far Cry 5 has been $15 at GameStop, getting ready for New Dawn. And New Dawn looks intriguing to me. Just the whole end of the world, and then following up on this Far Cry 5, which fundamentalist Christian religion kind of playing a part of that story. That's always something I find intriguing in my line of work, which, if you don't know my line of work, feel free to ask me in the comments below. Moving on to what I hope to complete in this week, which is a game I have absolutely loved, and that is the remake of Resident Evil 2. This has been a phenomenal game. This is the benchmark for remakes. While it pays so much love to the original game, it modernizes it in a really powerful way. I love the Resident Evil series, but 1, 0, 2, 3, and Code Veronica always feel a little dated due to the fact they still use tank controls, and that even the remakes of 0 and 1 still use those tank controls, and the remake of 2 gets rid of that. It makes it an over-the-shoulder adventure style game while still making you solve puzzles, dodge enemies, try to get around enemies because of limited ammo, but from what I understand, you have a lot more ammo than you did in the original game. So you kind of have the feel of Resident Evil 4, but the Resident Evil 2 setting and story. And it's been a brilliant game. It has kept me on the edge of my seat, and it's one I hope, like I said, to finish at least my initial playthrough this week. Now, we get on to the games that I have in my backlog, and this is not the entirety of my backlog. I have a lot of games I have not played just because I am more inclined to pick up games, and if work or stress is coming out, if I come home, I just want to turn my brain off. And so I'm really bad about not playing games, but I'm hoping to change that in the coming months and play through a lot of my backlog. Inspired by Resident Evil 2, I'm hoping to get through Resident Evil 7. I've started it and a couple of times and not been able to get all the way through it. Beautiful game, brilliant game. I did just pick up a PSVR, and so I've tried that a little bit on it, but it is fairly intense. Not sure if I can finish the whole game in VR, but really cool experience. Want to get to more of that, want to finish that game just because of how well they have, in some ways, revolutionized by going back and this new perspective, first person. It's just a really cool game. It reminds me of the jump we felt when we went to Resident Evil 4, and so I'm hoping to get more playthrough on that. One of my favorite genres is fighting games. I am terrible at them. I really like generally a story mode or an arcade mode more than playing with people. I just kind of get self-conscious. But last summer, my wife and I got to go see E-League, which tapes in our hometown, and we went to the Street Fighter V finals, and that was amazing and just really inspired me to get even more into the genre, and especially spectator of the genre and watching top players, which led me to watching EVO. And there was one standout game at EVO that I really, really want to check out and really get into, and that's Dragon Ball FighterZ. The art style is Arc System Games. Their art style for anime-based fighting games is brilliant. I'm a huge fan of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so to have a 3-on-3 tag battle that has a quick pace to it is really cool, and I'm really excited to play that game. EVO made it look amazing. I know I'm not alone in that. I'm hoping to go check out Final Round, which is here in Atlanta, a big fighting game competition, and watch some more pro players take on Dragon Ball FighterZ and learn the game myself. I really want to understand that. I've played it a little bit. I still don't get how you're supposed to be responding as quick as the game looks. Alright, this is a game for the Nintendo Switch that is a re-release. Coming from the PlayStation 2, it's Katamari Damacy. I have a really good friend who's really into music and vinyl collecting, and that is one of his favorite games of all time because he says the music's so good and the concept's so good. Haven't played it yet at all. Have never experienced any of the Katamari Damacy games. Looking forward to checking it out. It seems kind of a cool concept. I'm a little... the art style doesn't really look that appealing, but it looks interesting, and I'm willing to give it a shot, and because I know it's made an impact, especially coming from the PC or the PlayStation 2 era and forward. Speaking of impact from the PlayStation 2, now we get into the longer games and some of the role-playing games I really want to get into. And of course, what just came out is Kingdom Hearts 3. Switch to this hand. Kingdom Hearts 3. But to play that and get to the point I understand that, I really feel like I need to go back and play Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 and 2.8 Dream Drop Distance. I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game. I know that's blasphemous in some circles. But I was a huge Final Fantasy fan coming out of Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy IV is another one of my top 10 games. And they came out just at a time when I wasn't into video games. I was probably in college at that point. And so going back and trying to get into those, they seem really cool. I've played one for like an hour or so, which is not enough time, but the combination of Disney, Square, some of the Final Fantasy elements looks intriguing, and a really cool Disney RPG sounds like a really fun game, and I'm looking forward to getting into those. And one of my good friends got me the third one for my birthday, so I'm really appreciative for that. So thank you, and you know who you are. Speaking of large RPGs and Square, this is one I picked up on Black Friday, and I still have not played, but I've been getting more and more into this series as a whole, and we are now on the 11th entry of the main series, and that's Dragon Quest XI. Uh, Turn-based RPGs are one of my favorite genres, and I'm really excited to see a new one that is not out of the indie scene that's from a AAA publisher. Um, in the modern age, I think it is still really fun gameplay. Anytime that I get to play a turn-based RPG, I love it. Want more of those. There are rumors that Final Fantasy 16 is going to be a turn-based RPG, but I've really, as I've been playing through the Dragon Quest series, trying to get more into it, really love what they do and how they incorporate Western RPG elements, or your Dungeons and Dragons and things like that, into how the game kind of plays and how they translated that. And I mean, these are the foundational RPGs for consoles, and so I'm looking forward to getting into the 11th one on the PlayStation 4. Hopefully, we'll maybe see a Switch release this year, but that's where I'm going to start. I'm also a huge, as we saw earlier, I love the artwork of Akira Toriyama. I've read the mangas of Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super, and just his art style is so cool. It's so amazing on Chrono Trigger and Blue Dragon, as well. He's got, it's his style, very much his move, but it's an awesome move, and I look forward to seeing what he does with it in Dragon Ball 11. Going back a little ways, there's one RPG. An RPG series I've been trying to get into for a while that I've never just been able to click with, but I'm going to try it this one, which is Fallout New Vegas. I have not gotten really into a Fallout game or an Elder Scrolls game, but I'm really intrigued by the news of Obsidian being sold to Microsoft and what they've done. I was talking with a friend about this one the other day, and why I picked Fallout New Vegas over 3 and 4 was they were talking about the story is very much a Western, and so that's kind of a different spin in the RPG space, and so I'm really wanting that to be my Fallout experience, and I'm really intrigued to check out Obsidian's work as they deepen their relationship now that they're a Microsoft subsidiary and put out stuff for what I'm assuming will be either Xbox exclusives or Microsoft Game Pass exclusives as the video game world evolves. Finally, the last game I'm hoping to get through in the next few months is last year's Game of the Year by many accounts, God of War. Amazing looking game. Really impressed with how they changed the gameplay in the series. I've never played any of the God of Wars. They never looked that good until this one. The axe mechanic looks really cool, and just the story looks more intriguing than just angry guy slashing his way through Greece. Angry guy, or moderately mature guy who's clearly has some anger issues with child hacking his way through Norwegian mythology seems a little more intriguing to me. So I'm hoping to get to that one. And of course, many of y'all know I'm a retro gamer. This list did not make it look that way, but hopefully by June of this year, I want to have completed Final Fantasy 3 in the US, Final Fantasy 6. I've got my setup on my HD TV now running through SCART cables and an open source scanline converter, and so now I think it's the time to play through all the way of Final Fantasy 6. I love the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy 4, which is one I've played through, is one of my favorite games of all time. Final Fantasy 7 really is what moved me to being a PlayStation person off of the Nintendo platforms. They're just really brilliant. The Final Fantasy series really pushed storytelling in the video game medium better than any other series, I think, to date, and still does. Maybe not as revolutionary as it once was, but Final Fantasy 15 did still do some really cool concepts. Wish the DLC had gone all the way through. But by June, and I will check back in with y'all, I hope to have finished Final Fantasy 3. So I said I was going to conclude this video with a personal challenge, and that is not the personal challenge. But the personal challenge is this. As you can see, I have a ton of games that I have not played, and this is just scratching the surface. There are even more on my shelf. I am going to set the personal challenge for myself. outside of my video games monthly box, I am not going to buy another video game. No matter how good the deal is, no matter how much it's on my wish list, I'm not going to buy another video game until after Easter in April. I'm going to see if I can do this just because right now collecting has overwhelmed my playing, and I really love video games, but I want it to be more focused on the playing side for a bit. This is nothing against collecting. This is just me saying I want to try to get through my backlog a little bit and really appreciate what I have before I try to go out and get even more. We'll see how that goes, but this is the challenge I'm throwing down to myself. I'm not going to buy another video game outside of my video games monthly box until Easter in April of 2019. This is February 8th. We'll see if I can do it. Well, that does it for this video. I will catch y'all later. Peace.